Hello Physical Fiends, it is Jordan here, and 2026 is hurtling towards us, and I want to take a look at what's coming in that year in terms of imports from Asia and Japan. All games in this video, unless otherwise stated, will have English. Let's jump in and have a look. As I Began to Dream is releasing on January the 8th. It is an early one to start the year. It's only releasing in Asia, at least that's been announced so far. It is a lovely looking puzzle platformer that has you spinning the environment around with giant squares in order to, make the right path that you need. It looks nice. The digital release wasn't so long ago and reviews are a bit thin on the ground, but those that are there are pretty positive about it. Card-en-Ciel Nintendo Switch 2 edition is releasing on January 29th, and this is the first of a couple of Nintendo Switch 2 import exclusives that we know of. This already released physically on Nintendo Switch, also as an import exclusive, but this Nintendo Switch 2 edition will have a bit more content and of course much better visuals in terms of resolution and frame rate. If you enjoy Mega Man Battle Network, that series, then this will be the game for you. It's made by the same developers, but this time with their character IPs rather than Mega Man. DUSK Index GION is releasing on January 29th. This is a visual novel, a detective murder mystery with multiple timelines and multiple protagonists that hopefully come together in the end. You go back in time using technology to try and solve the murder. Now that technology is caught up, something like that. It all sounds very complicated that my Friday evening brain is struggling to comprehend, but it could be a good one. Romance of the Three Kingdoms 8 Remake, Destiny and Strategy Expansion Pack is also releasing on January 29th in Japan and Asia, but if you want the English one, you're going to want to buy the Southeast Asian physical from Singapore. That's the only one that has English, and I'm very much looking forward to this, even though it's probably a hard sell. It looks to be the only way to get the DLC expansion on the Switch physically in English, because in the West, this isn't even releasing digitally, it's PC only in the West. I guess the base game didn't sell well enough, but this is a re-release of the game that came out last year and quickly became my most played Switch game ever. This is that, but with the expansion pack, which adds new scenarios and gameplay elements that will completely change up how you play the game. At least it looks pretty significant to me. And once again, only the Southeast Asian version of this will have English. Dark Auction is releasing on January 29th. This is an adventure mystery game written by the same lady who worked on Another Code and Hotel Dusk Room 215. You can freely explore a castle at your pleasure as you use your reasoning skills to piece together clues. There's also an auction system which I don't fully understand, but I'm sure it'll be gimmicky enough to add to the storytelling, unraveling the twists and plot points. It looks pretty good, and if you want to pre-order it or any of the games in this video, then please do so via the links in the description and pinned comment. Any purchase made via those links massively helps support me and this channel in the best way possible. You can purchase imports from Play Asia, as always, and if you click my Play Asia links, you can get 5% off with my code Jordan2025, which is obviously going to run out pretty soon. But also, VGP are dipping their toes into imports, and so some of these listed here are also available via VGP, who have free worldwide shipping on orders over 75 Canadian bucks, like 54 American dollars. So choose which one suits you the best, and I do thank you ever so much. Chrono Ark Deluxe Edition is also releasing on January 29th. It's a busy day. This looks like a really good RPG, but of course, they've also made it a roguelike deck builder, because why wouldn't they? Everything about the production looks ace and reviews are really good for it. You recruit, train and build a team of 4 and hope to RNG that you complete a run and don't perish. If you do, you're back to 0. I think this is going to be a rather popular game because, yeah, even me, who does not like roguelike deck builders, this looks awesome. GigaSword, also releasing on January 29th. This is a pretty recent announcement, so I'm surprised to see it released so soon, barely over a month away. This is a simple looking action platformer, but that doesn't mean it's not good. It's got decent reviews. As you'd expect, you've got yourself a pretty chunky sword, and you've got some Metroidvania style traversal that appears to be primarily made by one bloke, which is commendable. CARTAGRA is releasing on February the 5th. This is an old visual novel from 2005, a murder mystery detective game set in the 50s. Back on PC, it was a naughty VN, which obviously will not be on Nintendo Switch, but it has good reviews, and this remake will, I would assume, change, the visuals, maybe add some widescreen and stuff, I don't know. One for VN fans, that is for sure. Hakuoki Sweet School Life is releasing on February the 12th. This is one of Play Asia exclusive releases that you'll see in this video, and this one's been a long time in the works. It feels like it was ages ago that it was announced. I'm guessing that the translation took a bit more work than expected because this Otome visual novel, it'll be the first time it's been in English, and it's a light-hearted rendition of the Hakuoki characters, but now in a high school setting. It's coming in a standard edition as well as a limited edition, as always. Definitely one for Otome fans to pick up. Maid Cafe on Electric Street. This is a short, cute, narrative-focused adventure game that has you managing a cafe. Managing should be, probably in quotation marks because it's literally just pressing A. It's more about the story for sure, and you get like a cute little narrative that, it may be better labeled as a visual novel, but it's releasing February 26th. Raiden Fighters Remix Collection is also releasing on February 26. The Asian release definitely has English according to Play Asia, not sure about the Japanese one. This is going to be a collection of 3 games from the series, Raiden Fighters 2, and Raiden Fighters Jet. You'll get to see where the series started and why it became a well-loved cult shmup series. I'm definitely interested in trying, any retro collection, even better if they're shmups. And this will also have like some remix music if you want it, stage selection, difficulty levels, and online rankings. It's coming in a standard edition as well as a limited edition. Back to the Dawn is releasing on the 5th of March. It is an Escape the Prison simulator. Okay, maybe the furry aspect will stop it being a true sim, but it's a story-focused adventure RPG as you try to escape a high-security prison. Apparently, it's quite open in how you want to approach it, at least that's what the description of the game suggests to me. You can choose who you want to be friends with or enemies as you make your plan, and it looks really good. Virtual Ties Isekaijoucho Musoukyoku is releasing on March 19th, and this is another piece of The Unknown, as it's a visual novel that's not released anywhere yet. What's most interesting about this is that it's been developed and published by Entagram, who very rarely have English translations for their visual novels. I think this is only their 3rd game, or at least the 2nd one on the Switch. Maybe the success of Medical Examination Diary caused them to give it a bit more focus, so yeah, well done if you supported that game. This is your reward. Bang Bang Bandits Nintendo Switch 2 Edition is also releasing on March 19th. Is it weird that I'm really interested in this release? It's a casual gallery shooter, obviously aimed at kids, but man, I miss the days of Time Crisis and Point Blank on the PS1. I think the world needs more of that. It's an on-rails romp that's now looking and performing better on the Switch 2. This Switch 2 physical will have English, despite the original Switch version not. Also, in a previous video, I mentioned that obviously it would use the mouse controls. Why would it not? But no, actually it turns out it won't use the mouse controls. At least, I don't think it will. It's not mentioned anywhere. It's still focusing on the motion controls, which hopefully on Switch 2 are even better than the OG Joy-Cons. Using them as pointers was always a bit weird. I didn't really like it. Kemco RPG Selection Volume 13 is releasing on March 26. You can always rely on good old Kemco for a nice quad pack of budget JRPGs, and in Japan and Asia, 12 pretty much just came out, but now Volume 13 isn't too far away. This will contain Chrome Wolf, Grace of L'Etoile, Ancient Phantasma, and Dead Dragons. I think to give credit where it's due, aside from that last one, Kemco have really nailed the JRPG naming. Like, they all sound pretty good. It makes me want to play them on the name alone. Witch and Ghost Volonte is releasing on March 26th. This is an Otome visual novel. It's been out in Japan since earlier this year, but it will arrive physically in Japan in March, and it will have English on that physical cartridge rather than, it's not on the eShop. And that's cool. I don't know much about it. Homicipher is releasing on March 26th, and this is a horror adventure game with visual novel elements with different routes to see, and it has extremely good reviews, extremely creepy and very unique. It is tagged as an Otome, but it's less about the handsome, crisp, clean love interest that you may be used to, because you have to chat up like the creepy monster-like dudes by deciphering their language, which is a key aspect of the gameplay. Sounds super interesting. Castle of Shikigami III is releasing on April 23rd. This is the 3rd game in the series, as you can guess. The 2nd game came out a few years ago on the Nintendo Switch, and I had good fun with that, and if you're into, pretty hardcore shmups, you'll enjoy this too. I'm expecting something similar, kind of awesome when it releases. However, there may be a better option. Castle of Shikigami Triology is also releasing on April 23rd, and it is probably the better option since while it does contain that third game as well as the second game, which I've mentioned, that already got a release, but it will also be the only way to get Castle of Shikigami 1 physically. There doesn't appear to be any individual physical release for that plan, so you get 3 games in one, and it'll definitely be the go-to purchase if you don't own any of them. It's also in a mini collector's edition which has a soundtrack CD, well, multiple soundtrack CDs, and I've already pre-ordered this myself. I very rarely do that. Kingdom's Return, Time Eating Fruit, and the Ancient Monster is releasing on April 23rd. This is a very recent announcement. PlayAsia doesn't mention English, but it should have English. It's another game from Inti Creates. Unlike their past couple of games, this one is only a Switch physical. They are not bothering with a Switch 2 edition, despite there being a digital Switch 2 edition. So that is a bit worrying considering Inti Creates their solid support for the system so far. But yeah, this is a kingdom builder with side-scrolling action, which sounds like a solid combination in my opinion. It looks pretty good. BAROQUE-YA is releasing on April 23rd. It's a physical release that will only half have English. The two more like super interesting games, at least from my personal perspective, they won't have English, which is kind of sad. Like, especially that Big Daddy JRPG, that's a big loss. But it's only fair to include this as an import with English because 2 of the games here do have English. There's the shmup as well as the weird platformer, like maybe 2 of the smaller games in the package. But yeah, I'm still kind of interested despite the disappointment in half of the package. Dear Mirror Flower is releasing on April 30th. This is a short visual novel that didn't really make much of an impression when it released digitally on PC. Reviews are very average for it, and most consider it to be a bit of fantasy fluff that is over before it started. Maybe only one for hardcore VN Switch collectors. Söldner-X Complete Collection is a PlayAsia exclusive that's due for some time in the early part of 2026. It's a release that's constantly been pushed back, and that's because the 2 games included took a while to be ported to the Switch properly. I think it's fair to say they announced it a bit early, but the first game came out not so long ago on the system, and the second game is due for early next year, at which point the physical will no doubt be sent out too. Both games are shmups, some of the early examples of indie digital shmup releases back when digital stores were just kind of like a new thing. Incantation is a recent PlayAsia exclusive pre-order. This is from the same developers as the Bridge Curse series, and I think this is also based off a Taiwanese movie or something like that. I'm expecting decent things as the first Bridge Curse game that I played was very solid as a mid-budget horror game, and this looks like it could be more of the same sort of thing. Hyperdevotion Noire Goddess Blackheart is also due for early next year, probably in later spring if I had to guess. This is the biggest PlayAsia exclusive release in this list. Another Neptunia game, but it's more of a spin-off, more of a tactical RPG than your normal Nep JRPG affair. This was banned in the West by Nintendo, but this PlayAsia exclusive allows it to be released in English via, the back route, and it should be quite successful. The other Nep games they've done so far have been, and this looks, to be honest, this looks better than all of those. River City Saga 3 Kingdoms Duology is very much off the press. I had to add it to the video at the last minute. This is releasing in Asian regions and is a double pack of 2 games that already got a physical release in Asia and Japan. Never buy the Japanese ones, okay, because they don't have English. But these Asian ones, like they released before, will have English. And now they are combined together into one nice package. Beat-em-up adventure game set in the 3 Kingdoms era and starring the Kunio-kun characters. Very fun stuff. And those are the imports coming in 2026 that we know of so far. Of course, there will be dozens and dozens more as the days, weeks, and months roll by, but it's looking pretty solid already. What do you think? Which ones have taken your fancy? And if they've taken your fancy a lot and you're wanting to pre-order, then please do so via the links below. And yeah, have a fantastic day. Take care.